what the City Farm School is an urban agriculture training program. We focus on market gardening, so like growing on a small scale for a market and selling our vegetables to the public, as well as we have schoolyard gardening, so working with schools, with students, with teachers, with parents, with sort of the wider community around a school to create gardens and do green education for elementary school students. We also have a giant medicinal plants garden right behind me. There we harvest these plants to make tinctures, make transformations, make teas, and just kind of learn how to use the plants as medicine, as they're meant to be used. And we've also been working on a food forest for the last, for 5 years since we started here. So that's basically like a type of, like a small scale ecosystem we're trying to create that has all the levels of a forest in it, but a lot of them are edible plants or plants that we've selected to do different services within that ecosystem, like nitrogen fixing or mulching. And then we also have a large plot where we have garlic, which we're growing for the People's Potato, a soup kitchen at Concordia University. And the goal with this project is working in collaboration with the People's Potato to grow all the garlic that they need for a whole year right here on the campus, with the end goal in mind of eliminating them having to buy garlic shipped from overseas. And we have some beehives now too. So we have 2 hives that belong to the City Farm School and 1 hive that belongs to Alain Perricard. He's the head beekeeper at Rucher à Pie, which hopefully I said that right, Alain. And Alain's been acting as my mentor and our mentor for the last 2 years since we're going into our 2nd season with the hives. It's a pretty interesting, exciting project. Bees are not like plants. They're so specific what they need, but you can't, it's not like a plant. A plant I can just sit and watch it all day if I wanted to, and I can like come back to it and I can look at it. It's accessible to me at all times and I don't damage it by observations. But bees, yeah, you gotta leave them alone. And so it's really interesting for me going from having spent so much time with plants to now working with bees. It's the same kind of thing. You're still just like really using your powers of observation and your network and for getting support, for learning how to do, like Alain teaching me. But you can't disturb them. You have to be super careful. So anyway, it's really interesting. What else? So that's the city. That's sort of like all of the projects. We also in the winter time in our like quote unquote off season, we'll often host smaller workshops, like maybe like a 6-week course or a 2-week course or a 1-day course. But for the City Farm School, for the majority of it, for the market gardeners and the schoolyard gardeners, it's an 8-month-long program. The students start in March and go all the way until the end of October. The reason for this is that's the growing season. It's not everybody thinks of that as the full growing season, but since we have a greenhouse and we start all of our plants from seed in the greenhouse, so that's it. You go all the way right to the end of October when you close down the gardens and get ready for the next year.